But first, it's amazing just how much junk we accumulate over the course of our lives. But what do you throw out and what do you keep? What about those clothes you can't bear to part with?
Well, a Belfast-born decluttering expert has just published a book on the subject, and we set her the task of sorting out a pretty standard wardrobe.
Okay, well, I've seen worse wardrobes, but this is very typical of clothes hanging out everywhere. And then another thing, I mean, just looking at the type of clothes that are in the wardrobe is actually kind of storing sensibly. There's no point in having a jumble of shoes at the bottom of the wardrobe. Either you keep the wardrobe space clear, and then you have the shoes in rows facing you, or find a shoe rack and actually keep most of the shoes somewhere else. Typically, people don't need to hang jeans. I mean, jeans can actually be perfectly well folded, and actually folded so the brand name is up, and you can just have a really neat pile of jeans in a drawer, and don't waste hanging space with them. Another thing typically is people, although in fact this client hasn't, but typically people hang jumpers. And actually it's bad to hang jumpers. You should really avoid hanging them. You tend to get sort of hanger poke marks, and you could have expensive cashmere that you're just ruining. So with jumpers and knitwear, again, fold and use drawer space. And then a really big tip is to just separate seasonal clothing. And people do read this and then they never do it, and they think, oh, that sounds like a good idea, but then they just don't do it. But if you separate all of the seasonal clothing out, you're halving the wardrobe essentially. In terms of clothing, it really is losing the stuff that doesn't flatter, that you don't wear anymore. There's no point in filling up your wardrobe with stuff you don't wear. Separating out the seasonal and actually feeling you can get up in the morning and you can put your hand on anything and you know where it is. And the same applies to decluttering any room in the house. You know, you feel great, you feel in control of your possessions. It's really therapeutic.
And Romaine Lowery, who was running around there like Mary Poppins, joins us now.
I am so speedy.
That was so impressive.
I work like that all the time.
First person to come round to my house when you finish here.
I'm booked for everybody I've met today, actually.
I can only imagine. You must love a good old rummage and a tidy up.
It's great having a rummage, and I think what's really nice is it's very therapeutic for clients. So, you know, although they're kind of dreading the whole thing, it's almost like dreading it is worse than actually doing it. So once we get started, they kind of really get quite into it, and it's great. They have really nice clients.
You've made a career out of this.
I know. But having said that,
I said that sort of.
I know. I don't often bump into other professional organisers. It has to be said. But it's big business in the States, and actually that's where it's come from. So Americans think nothing unusual of getting a professional organiser in, and they'll say, oh, I'm going to get someone in to do my home office or go through my wardrobe. And I knew that if something was big in the States, it would carry across initially probably to London and then over here. And so probably 90% of my clients are in London.
And have you got any top tips that if somebody wants to just go home tonight and go, oh, I can't bear this anymore, simple decluttering tips or ideas?
Well, obviously, apart from buying
the book, yes, that's always a good place to start, yes.
They can buy the book, but actually the book is incredibly practical, and in a way it's written in the way that I have a conversation with clients. And so the top tips today, I think, is absolutely declutter one room at a time. Don't get distracted. Don't go out of the room putting things in other rooms. Stick to the room, look at everything in the room. And then when you are reorganising within that room, store like with like. You know, it's so obvious, but people don't. So that you can easily find everything because, you know, all your bras are together and all your scarves are together. And
I'm looking at you, and it makes absolute perfect sense. But I am so
not like that.
untidy.
Well, you see, I'm the complete opposite. I am completely anal. I am. And my jackets are colour coordinated and material coordinated, and my suits, my work suits.
Well, at the kind of the extreme end of it, I will have clients who pay me for the luxury of coming in, they're not even there, and twice a year I'll go through their seasonal clothing, put it all away, and absolutely, you know, fold all the cashmere and colour order, and it's just immaculate, and it's a real treat.
Is it expensive?
Well, it depends. I mean, I think if you can afford that, that's the luxury end of it, and they don't feel it's expensive because they feel they don't have the time and they don't want to do it themselves.
You do it free for friends, and you are my very best new friend.
What does it say?
Absolutely.
A tidy house is a tidy mind.
Yeah. And
Love to know what's going on in there then.
God knows.
Look, Romaine, unfortunately, we have completely run out of time, and we would love to talk to you again. Thanks so much indeed for coming in.